Okay, welcome everyone. It's the weekly Noyantis Usergroup Meeting. Today's Monday the 19th of June 2017. Myself and John.
Be the presenter.
Yes, I was going to do that. Myself and John are here. I know we've got a few topics to cover already today, but as usual, any questions or any issues or any enhancement requests, fire away. Put a quick note in the question box, raise your hand, and we'll open the mic up and we'll cover some stuff. So I know that we've got a couple of questions regarding docking panes and report control to cover, which we'll be doing shortly. But David, I'll open the mic up now. I know that he's already asked some questions, so we'll start with that one. But as I say, anybody else, any questions? I know Pete's got one coming up and so on. So, yep, fire away, and we'll do our best to cover them. So, David.
Hi, Andy. Hi, John. Right. First one is I've got a standard browse that was just wizarded up from Clarion, just on a flat table with 4 keys on, so I was just using conditional browse, and I attempted to put the list enhancer on it, and it just keeps coming back to me saying no data to display.
Okay, that's a little strange. We'll try the same here, because to be honest, I'm not quite sure why you've got that. There's no filter, obviously, and so on.
No, it's just straight into the files. The file's only about 1,200 records. It's only a test file at the moment on a system, so that's it. Just no filters on it. Just a straightforward browse. It was just to really look at what data was in there. And so this was just my first test to try and understand how the system works.
Right. Okay. The only, I mean, yeah, it should just load if it's an enhancer. Is it a browse enhancer or a list enhancer? Browse enhancer, you say?
I didn't know there was a difference. Hang on a second. Extensions. Noyantis report control list enhancer.
You need the browse enhancer and point it. The browse. A list enhancer is. Do you know? I know. You actually asked the question on the email before.
I understand what you're saying now. Yes,
I
understand exactly what you're saying.
Well, let's just make sure we haven't got a problem anyway, because you raised a question there.
Okay. So I should just basically be able to click that and click OK, and then run it, and it should run.
Basically, yeah. I'm just going to. I'm going to take the school app, something like that. What do we get with Clarion nowadays? Just going to on the other folder on the other screen. I mean, they do a school app. Do they still do that? Has that gone by the wayside a long time ago?
I don't really know. I never looked at any of their examples, really.
I'm trying to find one, actually. I'm struggling to find them myself now. Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, I know that we've got in this particular application, on the standard one. Unfortunately, I haven't got my server available today, so I'm going to go digging around to find previous examples. But that's no problem.
Okay, well, what happened now, or a slightly different problem. I thought I then installed it, but I basically get just a straightforward Clarion browse. I'm going to say, let me just make sure I did actually do it. Yes, properties, browse, disable runtime there, appearance, options. As far as I can see, there's nothing that I've got to do to it. I've just put that on there.
Well, let's just follow these steps. We don't want to. You're struggling, so we'll do a quick button on here. Oops. Put the button there. In fact, we'll put.
Yep.
And we'll just generate one up, as you say. So Jen, CLA browse. Oh, crikey. Okay. And you just use the wizard, was it? A browse wizard?
Yeah, just a browse wizard. Yeah, just straightforward browse wizard. Just told it to give me all the keys.
Customers. I'm not sure what keys we've got on that. So
yeah.
2 keys. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And let's just check, and we'll take a look at that first.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's our Clarion browse.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No problem.
My daughters decided to have a little exciting time.
Where's our thing we should have done? Clarion, there you go. So we'll go to extensions, select our browse, and we'll do the report control browse enhance. I'm just going to go with the primary key. I think that's just a standard record ID, to be fair. And now that's what I would expect. We should get that, which is the report control of that. Now, that's just changing the order. But you really need that because basically now you've got your sorting done via this.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'll have a try of that while you're sorting someone else out.
Okay.
You did that very slightly different to how I was doing it. And I think I saw what was different, so I'll go and have a try while you're sorting someone else out.
Okay, well, you've got, just to, because I would have covered that quite fast, but basically, highlight the browse, and then add the extension.
I think I didn't highlight the browse.
Right.
At that point. I think I just did it on the window, just on that screen. I think I just did insert without having the browse highlighted.
Ah, right, you've got, that's all good, perfectly valid points. You've got different ways of getting the data. So let's have a quick look at the options. And we said that's manual. So that's a standard report control. To get that on the window, you would add it as a window control and then populate it manually yourself. Mm-hmm. You can also give it a different data source. You can say that is a queue, I think, and you can give it a data bind and so on. Right. But you would be adding a window control. And there's basically, you'd be getting the data in there either manually or data bound.
Okay.
If it's the idea you've already got something on the screen itself, like a browse, so i.e. what we add here, then we don't need to add anything to the screen because the Clarion browse is already there. And that could of course be a Clarion list. And I do think we have, do we have one of those examples? Possibly not. Let's have a look. No. Oh, that's lacking. Should really have one. But basically, it could be a Clarion list. So you've just got it going off a global queue or a local queue or whatever. For that, you could go to the, well, especially for the, sorry, I'll jump back. Especially for the Clarion browse, file loaded or page loaded, highlight it, press insert, and then add it. And basically then that knows it's attached to the browse which is already on the window.
Yeah, I think that was the stage that I hadn't done. I was basically at this screen here and just pressed the insert button.
Right.
Without having anything highlighted.
If we were there and did report control. Oh, that one. Okay. List enhance. Okay. So you'd have done that, yes. Add it as an extension, and it would have wanted the Clarion list. That's
yes. And it did say browse one, so I thought everything was correct.
But yeah, because that would have been the generated,
Yes,
Clarion's called it browse instead of a list in that point, which I know technically it's still a browse, but I do mentally differentiate the two. Browse is usually some kind of file loaded or data loaded. List is queue, memory loaded, queue loaded.
Yes. I understand your point.
So yeah.
Yes. No, I think I understand where I went wrong, and in some respects, it's good I learned that very early on, and hopefully I won't make the same mistake again.
Oh no. No problem whatsoever, and this is the perfect thing for the user groups for this. So no, fire away, play about, fire away. The only one last thing I wanted to I brought up it was an email. If you wouldn't have got any data, I did think it might have been this setting here, which is the use primary key, and basically every row needs to come back to some kind of unique value. Now in a list, if it's just off a standard queue, in turn it won't prompt you for that. One, there isn't a primary key because it's a data queue, and two, it can just use a pointer because that's unique because every entry in the queue has its own pointer. So, and that's exactly what it does do behind the scenes. But for a file, it uses a primary key. That might not be. You might have it. I'm not sure the database design, but to cover all eventualities, you can override and say, don't use that and go off and use a unique field, and you might have a different one instead. Maybe, I don't know, a record ID, that type of thing.
Yeah. No, all my tables have unique IDs anyhow.
Yeah. Oh, sure, key, so. To be fair, I'm sure 99% people have for this, but just in case they haven't, excuse me, their primary isn't built like that, then they can uncheck that and give it some kind of other mechanism to get to a unique value.
Yeah.
And that would be it.
Excellent.
Okay.
That's
you have a play, and I'll cover one of the other questions.
Okay. I've got another couple of questions, but they're not urgent things, so deal with other people's questions, and if you've got time, then I'll ask the questions later on. Okay?
Are you sure? I mean, your mind's open now.
No, it's okay. Go on, deal with anybody who's got urgent questions first, and if you've got time, then you can come back to me.
Fine, okay. No problem. Well, I'll tell you what, you mute yourself, and then you can unmute when you need us. There you go.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Okay, so got a question from another David. That's David Patterson. Hi, David.
Hey, Andy, can you hear me?
Yes, yep, all good.
Oh, good. I had a question. I went to upgrade from the 16.4, to the 17.3 version, and I tried to do them all at the same time. And it looked like I had some issues with like the task panel and I think the docking pane. That something must be a little different. I couldn't quite tell, what was quite going on there. My question would be: can I upgrade or migrate, some of the templates without? So I was thinking like doing everything except for the docking of the templates or the task, and then do one of those one at a time and see what if I can narrow down what the.
Yep. Well, now if you remember. I think it was yourself on last week's webinar, and you highlighted basically an omission on my behalf where the common class and the common library, so basically NYS common and NYS lib, from a template point of view, they could be, an older version could be installed. Basically when it shouldn't have been. Does that mean? Okay. Yeah, so I'm wondering whether that is a cause. A golden rule at present, until I get the installers updated, is always re-download. Even if you think the latest version is 3.61 and you've already got an installer for 3.61, as it stands now, always re-download because it might have a newer library. So yes, you can definitely bring down a mixture. Because if you did have all of them at, let's say, hypothetically 3.55, and then you wanted to just put the docking pane's latest in place, it would do that. It would put the newer central class in there, which the others would make use of, but it's always backwards compatible. It always has to be backwards compatible. So you'd be fine to do that.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to give that a whirl while you're there, but you definitely should be able to. Because apart from anything, on some of the apps, if I'm working normally with the Clarion versions, I'll put a build of Clarion together for a particular project. But sometimes you are guilty of leaving it set in one mode when you've opened an app, that type of thing.
Right.
So what I was going to say is I will unknowingly put some apps on newer versions of the templates than I expected. So and they always should continue working, unless of course I'm in the middle of developing a template and it's got compile errors. But that's not, you'll never get that. But no, you should be fine. By all means, give it a whirl while we're on now, and let us know the outcome.
Okay. And then my other question, you kind of touched on it last week, was to know when the app is started up completely. So I have a situation where, like right now, mine it's starting, but if people try to go and do something, I can get some, occasional I'll get a GPF because it's not finished. All the panes and stuff haven't opened or I'm starting.
Okay.
Things up. I'm wondering can I detect when all that's done and then tell it to.
Okay, on the docking panes.
Show the window.
Yep. Now, are you using the lazy open facility on the docking pane?
Probably.
Okay, let's just switch to the other example.
That's a good question, though.
Right, this is a Formula One. Now, on this one, we've got docking panes, and if we have a look at the generated embed points. I forgot to make notes last week. No, I didn't. Actually, I forgot. So I'm making my notes for this for the minutes for this week.
Oh yeah, that's right. For the summary, yeah. Because by the time you get to Friday, it's like that was a long time ago. Right?
I'm way too busy. There's only so much RAM in the brain.
Yeah.
And sorry, 1 second. So we've got the generated embed points. So I'm just looking down the docking pane there. Just going to where are we? That's better. Right. Now this has got lazy open on, but you do have an embed point called all child windows opened. So now this, if you had, say, 10 panes and you wanted them all to open, I don't suggest you do this, by the way, but you've got 10 panes and all are told to open with their content and so on. You get a bit of a lag as the application started, but then all 10 would be would be available. The last embed point what would be triggered would be all child windows opened, because as far as it's concerned, they are now. When you've got lazy open, basically you could have 10, but one will open by default, 9 might be on demand, and which is a better way of doing it. Well, because it's 9 on demand, the all child windows opened would trigger after the first one, because there's only one required at that moment in time. So that should still trigger. I mean, we can put a message in and check it on this now, but yeah, you should get it after the very initial one has opened.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. How do you have yours set up? Can you take a quick look?
Yeah, I was looking here to see, I think a couple of the panes. Yeah, I see. So my I've got like a shortcut bar and then a work area. Those get opened right away. So they're the don't open child window until select lazy open is not checked for the shortcut bar in the work area, but all the other panes are.
Yeah, so similar to this. So we've got a navigation, and that that hasn't got lazy open. We've got a work, and that probably hasn't, which it hasn't. But then all the others would have, and they're probably they're told to open hidden. So basically, they would be hidden by default and then brought into focus on on request.
I think that's my deal.
Okay.
I'll check there too. Yes, that's right. Hidden, opened.
So I'm going to take a quick look at that embed point and see, does it get triggered? And if so, how many times? No, it's this one. Because you will also get this one as well, child window opened, and it'll tell you which pane.
Oh, I got you.
Got a couple of embed points. So let's just put a message in here. We should really use Ultimate Debug for this. Message all opened. And I'm just going to put onto that the clock. Just in case it gets triggered a couple of times.
Okay.
Now this isn't running, but I pinched the demo from last week, so there's every chance this is the Reg Free Com biting us now. 17th, yeah. Ooh. Go to 16.3.1. Okay, so it thinks all opened, but it only triggered once. I'm presuming it's only triggered once. Yeah, so it's only triggered once, which is good. That would be a good embed point. So are you doing any, because you shouldn't be experiencing the GPF, so are you doing anything basically before they're opened, if you will, or something like that? Just trying to help diagnose and see what the setup is so we can potentially move some things.
Not that I'm aware of, but yeah, I tried to move everything into the menus or into the templates. Not try to control much.
Okay. Well, basically, I mean, no, you definitely shouldn't be getting any issue on that. I do use this in a couple of my applications, this similar approach in quite a few of my applications. I can send you over a copy of this. Mind you, you've already got the setup. Sounds like you've got the setup, pretty neat anyway.
Similar to this guy, huh?
Yeah.
Is this the current?
This is one of the training apps, which when we do the training sessions, this is like the final. You work towards this. You take. There's other things in this, but this is like essentially the base for having like docked content, if you will.
I got you.
So, yeah, the only thing I've Lazy Open came about because there was one user and he did oh crikey, I think it was through a video shop actually. Must got to have been DVD at least or Blu-ray. It wasn't that old, yeah. But it was something like that. And basically, when his application opened, it opened in 20 odd Clarion procedures in quick succession because he wanted them all docked. And at the time, there was no such facility of Lazy Open, and Clarion didn't like it. It was the file driver which threw the error. But basically, it was a SQL backend, and he'd never experienced it before because the user never opened 20 odd screens simultaneously.
Right, that fast. You really would want it delayed, more of an on-demand.
Exactly. So that's how Lazy Open came about. But that is the only time if I have to actually truly think back of initialization type issues with the docking panes. It was that. Weren't docking panes' fault. Docking panes was doing as it was told. 20 odd panes defined, 20 odd Clarion procedures on them panes, as well, one on each. So of course it was told to go through and initialize 20 odd procedures all at once. And the file driver just flipped out at it, just didn't like it. Might have been the SQL settings, might have been a whole host of things. TPS never threw the issue. So, but that's why Lazy Open came about. But I can't see, if you've got your setup like that, you really shouldn't be experiencing it. And on heart, I can't say I'm not aware of any on that now.
Okay.
But
Well, I'll kind of get that guy set up to be upgraded maybe for next week's
I was going to say, by all means, and
webinar, and then we can.
yours, and we'll do some live debug there.
Yeah. Okay.
So, what the other thing which might help is if we put instead of doing that, we'll change it to self.debug, and we'll have it as all opened, just like so. And we'll have it on the child windows open, so you can actually see when things are opened. And that gets pane ID. So yeah.
Well, in my case, I guess if you have the shortcut bar and the task panels and the docking panes, all kind of starting up in that main,
No,
in that initialization, would the docking panes be the place to check then? I mean, is that or would it be?
Well, I mean,
how do I know the order of?
Well, let me just run this without finger. This is just opened, so the initialization would have been this and the work. Now, work's got nothing on it. It's just an empty pane. I don't even think it starts a Clarion procedure. So all what's really started there is a navigation. Oh, it's not even a Clarion procedure. That's just a navigation. There on the main holder window. I don't know if you've got yours set up like that, but we've got one dummy window with a command bar, docking pane, and the task panel on the left, and they're all part of that window.
Now mine does start in my work area. On startup, it does call a procedure to put into that work area.
On here, but let's change ours to do the similar. So, and we'll have it as one of the browse. We'll copy one of these. Let's say browse drivers, and we'll have it as browse webinar. And we'll have our work, which by default probably hasn't got anything attached on it. Yeah, and we'll have it as a with window browse webinar. Okay, so just to recap, we've got a navigation which has got a code jog control in it. So that code jog control is on the same window as the docking pane. And there's a command bar, if I remember rightly, on there. So that's really it. Oh, there is one thing. I'm sure you already got that. But the contact management extension template automatically gets added to all of the procedures. Now, the docking one itself doesn't want it, so I always stop the window, but I also say disable the template. So basically that'll stop any code from being generated.
I gotcha.
That's a tip. I'm not sure how I'm going to roll it out, but I'm going to change it so that this doesn't get added to everything and you go and add it to the particular procedures where you want it. That way you don't have to use this stop. So I think it'll be a more logical approach to it. But unfortunately, we're a few years in, so I've got to find a way of doing that without breaking everybody.
Right, okay.
So we've got that. So this should open, and we did it want I think I just need the what the prototype is for the debug. 1 second. It's procedure. Right, no problem. Okay. Won't get no debug. But now we've got basically one window open by default. Now it's the webinar one, so so if we actually went to races and went to drivers, I'd expect drivers to be a small delay while it starts up, and it is. So they are basically that similar browse is open on a different thread called browse webinar. Okay. So yeah, you should still open as such there. The only thing we want is, let's have a look at our debug. Let's make sure the debug turned on.
I think I had mine start up on the manage service order bar.
And you got to wrap those ActiveX licenses in a button, I'm telling you.
Yeah, yes.
I saw you zooming by that thing.
It was one of them. The tabs weren't enough, so yes, definitely. Busted.
Right.
Okay. Oh, debug. We've run that and I forgot to start the debugger. So here's one we prepared earlier. Now, undoubtedly, we will have lots of things in here. Yeah, resize and so on and so forth. Oh, you've got some extra debugging here because it's the stuff I'm working on. Interesting, though. We didn't actually get the debug I was expecting. Well, we know we'll get it triggers because we've just had a message there. So why we're not getting the debug now, I don't know.
Hey, Andy, drop down where it says procedure and see if it's showing up there. Was it docking handle? Is that what it was? Yeah, it's not going there at all.
Got to admit, I'm a little confused because we know we go in there. We've just changed that from a message. Okay, well, I'll change. I'll put a message there for now. And the same with the other. So we expect.
Put the.
Sorry.
I was going to say put the message after the debug. That way you can see if it.
Oh, yeah. Good point. All opened, but I would have expected pane opened. I expected the pane opened to trigger before the they all opened. No, basically the reason for that is... Oh, no. No, actually, I would have expected it to trigger the opposite way. Pane opened first, and then it goes and notifies back to the main thread that that's opened. It has a count of how many it's expecting, and then tells you when the all has been triggered. So, might be something for me to look at on the and why I'm getting one and not the in the wrong order. Take another look. Okay. 1, 2, 6, 1. I put it on one. I only put it on one like an idiot. Sorry. My brain's not with it to this afternoon.
Is that debug coming through?
No.
No, that's weird.
Can't see the...
Yeah, it's not there.
Clear it again. Okay, 6176. Is that straight after? I realise it needs to take note of the rest of the time. 70. No, the pane opened is definitely triggering afterwards. It's not quite as I expected that, unless it's triggering too early on the start. Let's turn off the lazy open on all the windows and you'll see the type of effect that I'm talking about. I think this will definitely give you an idea of what the lazy open does for you.
Now you got the pane open now.
Okay, so pane open work, venues, drivers, teams, yes, phases, schedule, the countries. Ooh. I think I can't get to the. Trying to think if it's the. Can't get to it now.
That's stuck behavior.
I wonder if the actual message is there. Actually, one calls it to act in that work. Venues, drivers. Currencies. Did I go too fast on the all? Teams. See, it's catch-22. We really do need the debug on it because you really shouldn't put messages in when all these things are triggering. But I'm not. But we're not getting that, and I don't understand why. So I'll fix why the debug's not coming out, and then I'll have a look. But basically, I think that's a side issue of putting messages in callbacks because you should never really do that, which is essentially what we're doing. So,
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
basically, it's the OCS callback because the events trigger. If you can put a debug in, absolutely brilliant for it, but you can't put a message in because it's a bit like
hold it up there.
Similar to critical lock, you can't put a message in that. You're in for a world of pain if you do that, and it's the same with the OCS callbacks. You might get away with it in certain circumstances, but if you put one at a generic place, then chances are you'll get some kind of issue like I've got.
Gotcha.
So that's done its open. It looks ugly as hell, but he's just done its open and opened all the procedures. So you can see why the lazy opens so much better. But it still doesn't make sense.
One thing I'm doing is instead of instead of the docking pane and the work area starting with a procedure, I'm actually using the shortcut bar to fire one of the task panel options to call it. So maybe there's a issue with doing that. Maybe I need to do what you're doing here, which is, so tell that work pane to start with the procedure that I want.
Right, I've got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So mine was slightly a bit thingy there because I've just run this. I'll come back to that in 1 second, but you can see all these open. Very ugly, of course, but it's doing what it's told. And there's all opened, and then you get the last one. I think the all opened is triggering one early, but of course when we only had one, that's why it was doing it straight away.
Right.
I think it's triggering one too early.
And I would only have one, because the other one's not going to work, just because there's probably is that, 20 windows that would take.
Yeah, it would be worse than this.
And that's not what. And a lot of times people are just going into one of them anyway, so there's no really sense in opening up 20 if they're only going to pick one menu option and stay there.
Definitely, you're delaying them. It looks awful. Taking more memory, all to no avail. So no, definitely not. So I'll just put these back, and then you say you've got a shortcut bar.
Yeah, shortcut bar that's then calling the task panel.
Right, and is the task panel housed in the shortcut bar? Which is fine if it is. I also do that as well on some of mine.
I believe it is. Yep.
Yeah, because I do that because I have, believe it or not, there's one app, I haven't got it on here, it's for the practice management system. There's one main navigation, now I'm just trying to think, there's one shortcut bar, I need to bring this and show it you next week. There's one shortcut bar, it has, off the top of my head, probably a dozen, no, it's got to be more, yeah, probably more, bars. And there's 37 task panels at last count.
No, that's a similar concept. Yeah.
Actually,
each of the bars brings up a task panel.
Yeah, actually, it's got to be the same on the. It's got to be the same number of bars. I'm thinking about it because I always have one bar, one task panel, so it's got to be 37 bars. Now I've got to admit, I did cheat. I wrote a class to do all the adding and so on because it's quite fluid because it's in this new rework of the UI. Doing it all in the template would have taken me too long. If it's pretty
that was
static,
one thing I was going to ask there too. Is there a way to do that? Because that's the thing. You start doing the task panels, then you start you want to move something around, and it's like, okay, it's gonna take some thought.
Not at present. There is a setting like that in the command bar and where you can export and import, and I have promised in the past that I would do it for task panel and shortcut bar because it's the most obvious choice to do that. But it could be mainly task panel as well because that's where you'll have more options. To be fair, bars you'll only have so many of, and they're kind of static once you've got them. The content will change, of course, e.g. the task panel, but the bars, you might get rid of one now and again and add one now and again, but that's really it.
Right.
But yes, basically, it was something like the command bars. You can a whole set of controls, and then I added the export and import, so you can just drop them down to XML, manipulate them if you wanted, and import them back in again.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
So it does have that. So if I was to, let's just say, AGW XML. Just perform the export, and if I was to go to that particular folder, open that up in Notepad, and there's all the actual attributes.
Wow.
So
okay.
The task panel does need that because task panel, like I say, is very similar to the command bar, i.e. lots of different options and so on and so forth.
Right.
But no, not at present. The only way of doing it, which I did, is I looked at the generated code and then I basically created some procedures and a class and so on and so forth and did it that way. So it generated the code for me. So you're still hooking into the embed points of the class, the Noyantis class, but the actual content of what it does is just some separate code, which is embedded, if you will.
I see, okay.
But I don't recommend you go down that route, because any future upgrades, new facilities, so on and so forth, you're not going to be able to fully take advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I'd say in one of the future weeks, let's push through the export and import facility, which I'll blatantly rob from the command bars, and that will be your faster route.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so to come back just on yours, I wouldn't have the shortcut bar then call a task panel. If you wanted a default item, just put it on the pane. It's perfectly fine. So basically, just like I did, because all you're ever going to do, you can have a you probably execution path. You've got shortcut bar to call a task panel item. Task panel item is then going to call a docking pane into focus, and the docking pane is then going to go and initialize the actual procedure you want and show it.
Right.
So it's a bit of an overkill when you can just get the docking pane to do it straight away for you and cut the other two out.
Yep, that makes more sense. And maybe that is what's going on. It's one's initializing the other, and then if you try to go and do something too fast, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I think it's probably because that other one's not initialized all the way. Or
well, the golden rule for initialization is use the embed point init complete. All these are on the same window, aren't they? So they would be initialized in the order they're defined. So that's fine. So always use init complete 9999 for the embed point.
Okay, so there's an init complete for overall for all the controls.
All the controls have it. So if we have a look, like this has got a few. So if I was to look for init complete, and we've got one there, and it belongs to the command bar. And then the docking pane, and then the task panel. And I don't even know what the next one is. Oh, it's back to command bar. But basically, init complete, they all go through init prepare, init template settings, init complete. So you're always safe to put it in there at quite a late embed point, and you'll know by that point that the control's done everything it wants to do.
Would you do that for each one of them? Do the init complete for each control, or is there a?
It depends on what you wanted to do with the control, really. If you wanted to do a particular thing on one control, like you wanted to do one setting only when the shortcut bar is fully initialized, then yeah, I would use the embed point init complete of shortcut bar. Likewise, the task panel, so on and so forth. It really comes down to your own requirements, to be honest.
Well, mine would be more of telling that window to go ahead and activate when all of the when the shortcut bar, the task panels, and the docking panes have all completed.
Well, you've got a couple of ways you could do that then, but it'd be we'll cover it on one window, but you wouldn't need it, right? But you would if it was on the application thread. On the application frame. So let me show you for an instance. Let's call the init complete. Search for init complete. Now, because we're in a window, I know that all the code will be generated particular embed points so that they can be called. So the task panel, command bar would be first, the task panel would be next, docking pane would be there. Now, if I added, hypothetically, a shortcut bar to this, the shortcut bar would be before the task panel. Let me just show you for why. So we go to shortcut bar, just add that. Oops, what am I doing? I don't know if to go to webinar but I'm not getting all the mouse clicks that I'm after. Do you know what? It really doesn't matter. Just resize it. Right, it's just to prove something. So let's go through this now. Shortcut bar is first, followed by the command bar, then the task panel, then the docking pane.
And the docking panes, okay.
The reason for that is the shortcut bar would have to initialize because the task panel can be a content of a shortcut bar, whereas the shortcut bar can't be the piece of content of a task panel. Oh, the likelihood, technically you would be able to. Not sure why you'd ever want to, but technically I bet you could. But in reality, the shortcut bar would want to be the task panel would be used as a piece of item for a shortcut bar. So the shortcut bar is initialized first.
I gotcha. Okay.
And so on. And there's others. So the calendar would always come later on, and the property grid would definitely come later on, and things like that, because the property grid could be used in the command bar as a piece of item, as an item on the command bar. Calendar can actually be used as an item on the command bar, and it can be used in the shortcut bar, and it can be used in the task panel. So that would definitely be initialized later. So you're all right when they're all on the same window. So you would literally just go, okay, which one would execute last, look at the generated code and put your code in there, and that you'd be good to go with that. So in here you could say docking pane init complete, put my code in there.
Okay.
So, and chances that docking pane is usually last because it can take any kind of control of its content, so it's usually the last to be initialized. So just the heads up, and for the purpose of the recording, is if you had something very similar to that, but you was attaching all these to the main application frame, so each one of them are starting on their own window, i.e. the task panel over on the left is starting on its own window, the shortcut bar wherever is starting on its own window, and maybe the docking pane is starting on a window, and so on and so forth, then you don't actually know when they've initialized because they're all on their own threads, and one might execute. There's no control. Just because you started them in ABC doesn't mean they're all completing ABC. Clarion doesn't work that way, unfortunately, and
I gotcha, yeah.
will bear for a long time.
I've got a frame, but that frame calls the window.
Yeah, you've got the similar setup to this. So docking pane would be perfect for yours. But if somebody did have them all on the separate threads on the main application frame, then the way you would have to do it there is maybe have a global variable. So you're expecting, let's say, docking pane, task panel, and command bar, and you wanted to know when all three had initialized. Then basically what you'd have to do is have a global variable, or which you increment by one. So in the init complete, they'd all say global variable increments by one, and then do a check. Does it equal 3? Now go and do your code. But that same embed point, that same code would have to go into all three separate procedure. All three init completes, because only Clarion knows, and it's going to be different each time which one has won the race.
Can you even do that onto the app frame? I mean, you can do the docking pane, right? But
you can do, you can have the shortcut bar on the main app frame, and you can put the task panel on the main app frame. I'm not sure about putting the task panel inside of a shortcut bar on the main app frame. I don't think you'd do that. But yeah, you could, you could, if you wanted, have a task panel on one side, shortcut on the other, a calendar across the top, hidden, and a command bar across the top. So you could do all that on the app frame, but the initialization process is really down to Clarion. So it's better. That's why I always use the window. It's just you got more control.
Okay. Oh, good. I'm glad I'm doing it that way then. Okay. All right. Thanks, Andy. I'll try that out and see if I can narrow that down, and then I'll get the template stuff ready for next week. It'll probably take me a little bit to.
Yeah. By all means, and we'll take a look at that. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Now, I know we did have no problem. Now, Pete. Oh, unfortunately, though, we should have gone to Pete first. I didn't realise Pete's had to go. He's had to go. Question has to wait. Pete was asking. He wanted to know about a particular example, which we covered either last week or the week before, and it was this setup where we had. Let me get rid of that message. Where we had this type of setup: navigation on the left. Basically, navigation on the left, docking panes controlling the content on the right. Sorry, just 1 second. That mobile ringing, which is right. We'll quickly cover it for the recording then for Pete. It might just help him. So we'll just slow it down a little. We've got docking panes added at the global level. We've got task panel added at the global level. And we've got the docking panes. sorry, I said that. Yeah, docking panes, task panel, and we will actually we'll include a shortcut bar, which is similar to what Dave just mentioned a minute ago for his setup, and it might be the look and feel that Pete's after for his. Sorry, that phone call threw me. I was going to get rid of that code. Let's just make sure our settings are back to what they were. Tell that not to bother with any content. We'll very quickly cover this for the purpose of the recording. Race results. We still got one that's set to open. I thought I'd just save this. Just 1 second. Yeah, that's right. Oh, it's saved layouts. Sorry about that. I wonder why race results. On this example, can you still hear me, by the way? Because I've got a call coming in which I'm trying to ignore on the other screen.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, Andy. You can't hear a phone ringing though, can you?
Yes, we can.
You can?
It's gone now, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, the particular user in question will ring about 17, 18 times. So to say persistent is an understatement. Okay, sorry about that. In fact, how am I going to do this?
They really want to talk to you. Huh?
Yeah, they're a pain in the, and I won't say what it is, but I mean, I get it.
No, we don't have no customers like that. No.
I'm just trying to think of how I can quickly log out of it. Right. Oh my days. Okay, sorry about that. Right, the reason this is it threw me then is this example also uses save and restore, and because of course race results was the last one which would have been opened at one particular point, it's going ahead trying to open the last pane. So it's nothing to do with the code. It's actually just remembering. Let me come out of that. Which last pane was opened, and it's restoring it as it's told to. So let's just start that afresh, and there we go. Okay, so to cover Pete, and hopefully for the purpose of recording, we'll quickly go through, very quickly, how we built this, and we'll enhance it to have a shortcut bar as well, and maybe split, set up into one bar and options into another bar, that type of approach. Okay, so basically, we'll ignore the command bar. We just put the command bar on there for demonstration purposes. What we want is we've got this navigation and a work area. So to handle that is a docking pane. We've got a navigation pane on the left. We have a work pane on the right. We have n number of other panes all attached to the work. They are part of the same collection, and they are told when one pane comes into focus, hide the other pane and repeat and rinse. So as we flick through these, it will hide the old one, and then when you go back, it brings it back into focus. Okay, so that's that. To accomplish that, we have created a standard window. As I say, we've got on there, we've got a task panel, we've got a docking pane for the content, and we've got a command bar. Our task panel is very simple. It has a couple of groups. Each group has a number of items, and then each item is told when it's selected. Instead of going off starting a thread, which is what you might normally do, it's told to select a docking pane, and it's going to select a pane called venues, and the teams is going to select a pane called teams, and so on and so forth. They can be anything you like, by the way. I've just kept them the same. That gives you the ability of basically allowing the user to select the pane, either currently by the task panel. We could enhance it, and we could actually let them have the tabs down the bottom and select them manually that way as well, giving them two ways to actually bring a pane into focus. So we'll cover that in a minute. Each pane, as I say, we'll choose them. We'll keep with teams. Each pane has standard definition, word. Oh, sorry, no, that's set to all option. Let's go back to our docking pane. We'll stay with the teams. It's told to start hidden. It's part of a collection. That can be any word you want. I've just called it work because it's a work area on the right. But it's told to start hidden. We're using lazy open, so we don't want it to open until somebody actually tells it to open. And then we want to auto hide the other panes in the collection. So all the other panes in the work collection will hide. Now I happen to know that from there down are all part of the same collection. So when any of these are selected, all the others will hide. When one of these are selected, its action is to, and we can have various different options, but it's told to start a procedure. Now that's only when it's first. If it knows that content hasn't been initialized, it will do it the first time. After that, the browse is there, it's got its handle, it's docked, it will just bring it back into focus. Giving you the effect, and we'll just flick down a couple of the options. Work empty, click on Teams, and Teams is just initialized. It's put the browse procedure in its handle, so by its handle into its pane, and it's brought the pane into focus, and then doing that has hidden the work. If I was to repeat that with drivers does the same. Clicking back on Teams would just bring that one straight back into focus, and so on. So if I happen to be on that record, back to there, I'm still on that record. Any questions on that so far? Have anybody who uses that, have I missed anything? This is for the point of the recording, really.
Can I just ask quickly, Andy, did you actually set all the panels and things up first before you sort of put them on there? What was the sort of flow of actually doing it? Literally, you sit with a sheet of paper and write it all out as to what you were going to do?
Do you know what? I always start when I'm doing an app with the scruffiest of pieces of paper, because you do them all and it's with pencil, and you've got so many rubbings out and so on and so forth. So I always plan it out on paper first, and I think of the options. So if I'm going with this type of navigation, which I do like, we have got other options, and I'll show them in a minute. But I will go down the options and see about, do I need to put them into different breaks. Like here, I'm using one task panel and I've got two groups, option and setup. We'll quickly change that in a minute to show it could have been two bars. So it could have been two shortcut bars, one called options and one called setup. In fact, for this training, it probably would have been better to do it in shortcut bar. But yes, basically I would sit down, I'd go through all the particular options that I can think of. You're always going to forget some, but go through them. I'd have my window, my controls, and then I start creating the panes. always start with my navigation on the left, the work on the right, get that to open as I want. So, okay, I know that's going to open that size to the right, that's going to open that size to the left. When I'm happy with that and I've got it opening as I want, then I'll start defining the other panes. So I'll say, okay, the venues, that's part of the work. It's got the same characteristics as the work. It's attached to work. So you get the idea. And then you just say what that's going to do. And then repeat it numerous times over.
Okay, yeah, I understand that. Thanks, Andy.
If one of these was set to, say, 870 or 900, then it would affect all of them. Because they're all attached to each other, it would affect all. It takes the greatest number of the lot.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's where I'll start. Okay, so we've got, I did mention just there, on our task panel, we've got two groups, option and setup. I'm actually going to get rid of the second one. I've got countries, and you'll see what I'm going to do. Just pinch a load of its settings because I can't be bothered typing them all out again. Should be, yeah, there we are. And currencies. Okay. We'll get rid of that as well. So if we start our application now, I've only got one task panel, and there it is. So now I'm going to introduce a shortcut bar. For the purpose of recording, I did say shortcut bar. At the CIDC last time, everyone was convinced I was calling it chocolate bar. So I'm not quite sure how or why, but that's ultimately my fault. Okay, so we will go with that. We'll drop that on our window. Let's have that out the way. Because they're all going to be used as docking pane content, we're not bothered about the size. The docking pane is going to basically take charge of all of that for us. So I've got my shortcut bar. Resize by pixel. Got a few settings. I'm not going to go through all these. We will have one called option, and it's going to contain a code job control. It's called option. I haven't got an icon for it, but I'll have a look in a minute. And it's going to contain the task panel, which happens to be our option task panel. Okay. What we also now need to do is tell it, no, that's okay. What we also now need to do is our docking pane for the navigation. It thinks it's code job control and it's a task panel. Well, now we don't want it to be, because that task panel is now hosted inside of a bar on the shortcut bar. So now we want to take control of the shortcut bar. So now we've changed our navigation and we said your type is a shortcut bar, and there's a control which we've just added to the screen. Take a quick look at that, and now we've got a shortcut bar. There's our option. There's that. I'll grab that icon so it looks a bit better, but there is our shortcut bar, and we've only got one bar. So let's just quickly finish that off, and we'll do the same with the we'll add another task panel, one called task panel setup. We'll add another bar to the shortcut bar. We'll have its content as the task panel, and then you get the other two options back in again. So back to our options. Just want to grab its image. Should have really known it would be called options. Onto the bar. Let's go to the window, add a new task panel. So now we can have a second task panel. Like I said, it sounds like David's got quite a few on his, and I know on ours, I think the last count was something like 37 task panels, and quite a heavy menu system on it. So I'll call that task panel setup. In here, we'll just have one group called setup. I'm hoping I've got an image called setup. I'm sure I have somewhere. And it will have some items in there. The two we've just done a minute ago were countries. And we're going to tell it to select a docking pane called countries. So it's very similar. The fourth means always bring it into display, which you do want to be ticked, to be fair. And we'll have currencies. Okay, not that one. Select a docking pane, currencies. So that gives us our other task panel on the screen. Now we want to call that navigation. Now we want another bar on here called setup. That also has a code jot control in it. We'll have it as setup. Just for the purpose of the video, if you was to put a tilde in front, it knows it will automatically compile the icon in. If you didn't, then of course it will expect it to be present at runtime. We've got there's going to be a task panel. In fact, that's it, task panel. Let's take a quick look at that, and then we'll recap on what we've just done. So we took some options off our original task panel, sorry, and we stripped it back to just being one group called option. And there's the options for them, and that's on a bar. So now the whole shortcut bar is hosted inside of, they need to be set to hide. I can see them bleed through there. But basically, the whole shortcut bar is hosted in the navigation pane, so we'll resize accordingly. We said, our previous task panel, we stripped a couple options off and put it down to literally just the options that we needed, and said that wants to be the content of one of the bars on the task panel, of the shortcut bar. Then we added a new bar called setup. Now why hasn't that brought it into play? That's just thrown me. Oh, hang on. It's not that task panel, it's that task panel. Task panel setup. Okay, we added a new bar called setup. We'd added a new task panel to the screen, so we've got two task panels on there. The one is hosted on option bar, one is hosted on the setup bar, and when these are pressed, these are told to open a selected docking pane called countries. Only I've not set them to the right thing. You think I'd take note of my own options, wouldn't you? Explore mover in group. Okay. Any ideas, anybody? Quick test. Anybody? Any ideas why they're not working at the moment? Nope.
And I'll have to say no as well.
No, that's okay. And it threw me. Okay, basically the first task panel, which is our options, we said on one of the options, could be any. We'll choose one. Stick with our teams. When it's open, select a docking pane, teams. And that's perfect. But how does it talk to the docking pane control? And it's because on here, on the third party, it's told, if we flick through them, docking pane, it has to link. It has to, so it can link to the control and calculate its class. That's how it will basically be able to call methods of the class. So, and we never did it on this one. So if we say on here, make it aware of the docking pane, then it can calculate the class from that control, and it can call the methods, which of course we want to, because on our setup options, we've actually told it to select docking panes. So because that wasn't set just then, you wouldn't have got any actual code executing.
Yeah, we knew that.
It threw me off. I was looking at it thinking, really? It's late in the day. Okay, and there we go. And now, because it knows of the docking pane, it can call a method of the docking pane called select pane with the name that it wants to, and then docking pane just kicks in. And then last but not least is, yes, we're using the navigation here, and we could, if we wanted, down to personal choice, and just showing it for options. On our docking pane, we have, we're not the key navigation. Crikey, where is it? I can't remember where the tabs at the bottom, auto hide, show tabs. Yeah, let's show the tabs. So basically, we could, if we wanted, have, and there's our tabs. They don't want work, obviously, but now these will actually open. Ooh, oh, right on cue. Then we should not put it on now. Don't know why I have to have done that, because it's done nothing more than start the thing. That should start the drivers. We'll have teams. There's our teams. No. Ooh. Okay. Just making a note of this as a DP shortcut bar, task panel, show tabs. Something to look at, but let me just run it one more time so you can see it in action. You could allow your system to be set up like so, where users can switch between them. I'm presuming on this it's got to be something up here what's throwing it. Well, not got to be, but probably would make sense. But yes, you could, if you wanted, give it this type of approach. Tabs can go to the right or on the top or wherever you want them to be, and so on and so forth. For me, I like to give the users just one lot of navigation, and we use a combination of shortcut bar and task panel.
Could those two things have been at the top, Andy?
Which two, sorry?
The two that you got your mouse on at the moment, options, and set up those two down there, yeah.
The shortcut bar option.
And come downwards?
You can have a setting on the shortcut bar to show at the top somewhere. We've got to select by number. This is your default one. It should really be options though. Select by name, and we'll put that as option. The by number was the original way of doing it. Resize by pixel. There is show active at the top. That's not the one I was thinking of, is it? Okay, and as we go there, that should go up. So basically, if we was to, let's say we had another couple of bars, there won't be no content on them, but we'll add the bars anyway, just for demonstration purposes.
Yes, because I think that was exactly the layout I was sort of considering there.
So shortcut bar, might as well quickly cover. You can have in here navigation tree, which builds a Clarion list control in a tree. Really, to be honest, you can have a navigation tree, existing control, code control, another type of control, or a system menu. We're not going to have a system menu because we're not on the app frame, and we're not going to go and pinch one. We'll just have a couple of bars. Oh, do you know what? Why not? We're on a roll. Let's see if we can break it some more. We'll add the calendar. Oh, it's already on there. Oh, for this example, because I thought we were just knocking one together. On here, I'm going to add a date picker. Trying to think of typical type controls that you might use. So in your applications. So we'll have that. And in the shortcut bar on bar 3, I'm going to have that as a code control. And it can be the date picker. What? Have I just been trigger happy? What have I missed? Oh, it should be bar 4. And I blatantly missed. Oh, yeah. The date picker by default will try and attach itself to a calendar, because usually it is controlling a calendar. Link to a calendar? No. We just want a standalone date picker. So now we've got 4 bars. We didn't set anything for the 4th. We've got our 1. That will show at the 2. Why has our date picker not gone there? So basically, when you say can they show at the top, the active one, you can have it so the active one should show at the top. If that makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense, Andy. I understand.
Okay. Got a quick question. Oh. It's thrown me why the date picker isn't there, actually. You definitely do it because we do it. Calendar, code control. To get its handle via that. Let me have another version of that open. Sorry about this. I'm just making sure we are getting what we want from it. Make sure it's a handle and it's not called something different. Oh, HWND. I haven't got the application here, or I'd crack it open, but you most definitely can put the date picker in there. As I say, we do it. It's part of our appointment book interface, so you definitely can put the calendar in there. It is registered, isn't it? Because I'm not using reg3com, just making sure it's not a simple case of the controls just not registered, as I've been doing some testing. No, okay. You get the idea. You can put multiple things in there. Any questions on that? Anyone think I've forgot anything? Nope. Okay. Well, we're drawing to a close. Yeah. Does that all make sense, what we've just covered? I'm just going to quickly put the property grid on the fourth one to see if it's something that gives me an idea on the first, to be on the truth. And there's our property grid. So it's got to be something on why the date picker's not there, because, as I say, they do. But yeah, there's your property grid. So you can put other pieces of content in there, was the main thing I was trying to demonstrate. Hopefully that gives some ideas and answers Pete's question. If not, I'm sure he will be here next week to ask it in person. But he wanted to know about the look and feel of applications and how you would go to a starting point and building them as well. That was one idea.
I've enjoyed seeing that, Andy. It's going to be useful to me.
Oh, very good. I'm racking my brains here of why the date picker didn't go in, and it's unless it's the initialization. I'll just make sure the calendar is done after the very thing I was talking to David about before. Property grid is first. Yep, the date picker is there, which is exactly what I would expect. Okay. Because it's really bugging me, I've got to admit. Our work content, I'm going to say that by default can be the date picker. And let's just make sure that it is being initialized. Code controller, date picker with date picker. Now it's got to be our date picker, not initializing. Let me just turn it off the shortcut bar just to be on the safe side. No, there's a something that it's on my system. I'm not sure why I'm getting that, but 16.3.1. The calendar's not there either. No, there's a problem on my system. Let me just 1 second take the calendar off the screen, check the license, make sure it's not something which we'd done. And it is. It was last week's thing. We were using reg3com for the calendar. So apologies for that. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. There you go. One massive date picker. One property grid. Now we'll put the date picker back where we wanted it, just to give you the final look and feel. Apologies for that, if I just confused everybody. Did go to show though what you can do, so that the work area can be anything you want it to be, as a default. Okay, onto our date picker. There's your date picker, active, so on and so forth. Your property grid, no content, but your property grid, and so on. Giving you a whole multitude of options from a navigation point of view for your main application. Okay. Any other questions?
I've got one quick question, Andy. Where do I find any demonstration apps for my install? Where would it put them?
It should put them, I think. It takes whatever your Clarion standard is, but it should prompt. Yeah, it should prompt. Let me just try one of the installers. Just 1 second. We'll go with we'll go with any. Won't be a second.
Okay.
So you'll start the installer. Avast is moaning. Okay. It wants a serial number, which I'll just do off screen for obvious reasons. It will talk to the server. No attempt yet, no problem. We go with the license. This is typical my system, but okay. It should ask where to install that to, but it should also show where to put the examples. Now it will take from your original Clarion setup where your defaults are. I don't put them under there. I usually put them, because I think public documents was an horrendous idea back in the day when they first came up with it. Personally, I like to keep them under the accessory folder, but obviously that's entirely up to yourself.
Okay, that explains why I can't find them, because I followed the defaults. I just let it put them where they were, so I wasn't looking in the right place.
Yeah, no,
I'll find them now. Thanks.
For me, yeah, it's C10 accessory and then examples Noyantis, and I think it should be like C10 accessory Noyantis calendar and so on. It's just this first part. Somebody decided that it would be a good place to start putting examples. So pass.
Okay.
Happened a long time ago. That I don't know who did it. So, okay, well, shall we wrap it up? This is one bit of Noyantis news. Today, hopefully the comms was all okay and the speed was all right and so on. And we actually came from our brand new offices. We actually moved over the weekend. So we're going up in the world a little. So yeah, at some point I'll celebrate it. We'll do some kind of promotion or something. But we're in, but the internet was only actually connected up about an hour before the webinar. So that would have been interesting if that weren't right. There's nothing like cutting things fine. And we're not cabled up. I'm looking at the rack mount there and it's empty. So once we're fully in and so on and so forth, then I will we'll show a couple of photos. Obviously we are quite pleased with it, as you would imagine.
Yeah, congratulations, Andy.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, well, it's progress, isn't it? It's all progress. It's what we're here for. So, okay, cool. Until next week. Everyone there still?
See you guys.
I'm going to say, I didn't know if everyone's gone. I thought you'd all gone by already. Okay, until next week. I'll see you there. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks very much, Andy.
Bye.